Hello, fellow seekers. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. My name is Elle, and I return to speak on some Law of One quotes and share with you my opinions on them. So today I believe I have a pretty important one. It would be relevant to your everyday life in every single day, which is why this is so important. And it's mainly going to be about how to stay grounded. What does it mean to be grounded? And even further than that, how do we stay on the path of seeking and serving? And how is that all related mostly to chakras? Specifically, what are the general blockages in the chakras that would be evident of a non-grounded person or maybe even a grounded person? We will then go into distractions. What are the types of distractions along the path in terms of lower chakra distortions? And I guess that kind of ties into, I just wrote down the woman in the red dress, if you know the Matrix reference there. And lastly, we should all finish up with how to deal with Other-Selves distortions. So obviously we have our own distortions, but other people have their distortions. How can we best love and accept them as they are and see them as the perfect being that they are, even though they are perfectly imperfect? So that is what we're going to talk about today. And we will start with a quote where I guess actually I'll give you a couple of like the warning quotes first, and then we'll go into the bigger, longer one about the chakras. So I want to explain to you first of all that staying grounded is it's both a physical and a metaphysical thing. Okay, so whenever we're talking about chakras, we're talking about the energy centers of the body, which have energy coming through your body, up through the chakras, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And as the energy has to come in from the bottom, from the red, and it moves up, it will basically move from your bottom three chakras, which deal with our current experience, since we're sort of in the third dimension, and then going into the fourth chakra, the heart, and then we have the higher chakras of, sort of spiritual truth and things like this. So when you're dealing with the spiritual community a lot, what you will find is people are very enamored with the higher aspects, the higher chakra types of learnings, which are just like spiritual truth, unity, love and compassion and open heart and all those things. And of course, those things are wonderful. But if you put, as they say, the cart before the horse, you're going to create some issues with yourself. Meaning, if you basically are attempting to open the higher chakras before you have a nice and opened and balanced and, let's say, consistent sort of lower chakra energy, you're going to create an imbalance in your body, which will lead to, well, distorted thoughts, perceptions, possibly even distorted physical body distortions, if you will. Okay, so I guess I will just tell you this one quote first, which is, it's very simple, and it says here, in session 41.19, I'm just going to start with a short one. They indicate, Ross states that those entities which are unbalanced, especially as to the primary rays, will not be capable of sustaining the impact of the love and light of intelligent infinity to the extent necessary for harvest. End of quote. Which you can say, the extent necessary for harvest. You can also just state that basically is saying it's preventing you from entering your heart. So if you are unbalanced in your primary, and I'm going to say the lower chakras, then you basically just don't have the energy, the amperage to open up that heart, to make it into the next density of experience. And why? Well, because it's like you're like an electronic device and your battery is essentially the love and light of the one infinite creator, and in order to receive the charge of the creator, you have to open up those chakras, and they all come in from the bottom, from the red. At least that's where it starts, meaning that if you're blocked in that area at the very bottom, either in red, orange, yellow, really any of the lower three, those are going to be basically like a little stoppage of flow, which stops the energy from reaching the heart, which stops the energy from then going into the higher energy centers, which of love and compassion and silence and meditation and unity and all those things. So basically what they're stating here is, you're going to, actually I'll just use a quote because I have it highlighted here. It's going to be from the middle of a longer one that I'm going to read you, but they state that those with blockages in these first 3 energy centers or nexi will have continuing difficulties in ability to further their seeking of the law of one. It's just a fancy, end of quote. It's just a fancy way of stating that basically you're going to have trouble seeking. You're going to have continuing difficulties if you don't get your very basic stuff figured out, which is your bottom 3 chakras. And it's what I would suggest is essentially your daily life, your daily living, your daily chores. Can you do chores with love in your heart? This is part of seeking. Do you think that taking care of yourself is selfish? Is it a service to self thing? Well, I'm sure I don't want to go into that part too much. I'm sure you know that's not the way it is. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You also have to be the change you wish to see in the world, which means that you need to take care of yourself. You need to do the very basics of taking care of yourself. And if you want to essentially open the heart, love yourself, love others, serve others, if you're not balanced in those areas, you're just going to have troubles over and over and over again. Okay, so let's read you the nice long quote about chakras. And because it is so long, I will stop after each chakra and just give a little bit of my understandings of what was just read, because they are going to go through all 7 of the chakras: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And I would just like you to have an understanding of them just so you can get a feel for what the heck I'm talking about. Mainly what I want you to focus on when I read these is the first 3 chakras. The other ones after I will sort of try to go through quickly because I know you'll probably be interested in them, but I want this podcast to be mainly about grounding yourself and being balanced. So let us begin. This is from session 15.9. The questioner asks, can you tell me a little bit about the definition of the word balancing as we are using it? Ra answers, I am Ra. Picture, if you will, the one infinite. You have no picture. Thus, the process begins. Love, creating light, becoming love light, streams into the planetary sphere according to the electromagnetic web of points or nexi of entrance. These streamings are then available to the individual who, like the planet, is a web of electromagnetic energy fields with points or nexi of entrance. I will stop there and I'll just explain briefly. I'm sure you kind of get it, but basically they say that, the sun is the logos, which is the, I suppose the physical representation of the creator, to what degree that is a possibility. And then your planet is a sub-logos and you are a sub-sub-logos. Like essentially we're all just portions of the creator stepping down. So what does it say in this first paragraph? They're stating basically the love and light of the one infinite creator will come first into the planetary sphere, from the sun, from the creator, into the planetary sphere. It essentially, the energy goes through the different electromagnetic webs of the planet, which then go through your electromagnetic field in your webs, which is essentially your chakras. So what are they stating here? The energy comes from the creator, from the sun, to the planet, to you, both, well, physically and metaphysically. So continuing on with the quote, it says, in a balanced individual, each energy center is balanced and functioning brightly and fully. The blockages of your planetary sphere cause some distortion of intelligent energy. The blockages of the mind-body-spirit complex further distort or unbalance this energy. There is one energy. It may be understood as love-light or light-love or intelligent energy. So once again, just continuing on with what I just stated, basically, it's like, the energy has to be distorted. So it originally starts undistorted, and then it distorts through the planet, and then it distorts through us as well. So what is our goal? Well, our goal is to seek and to serve, but that's a sort of a fancy metaphysical way of saying that you would like to open and activate all of your chakras, which means that you would like to basically balance yourself and balance that energy and come as close to balance and undistortion as you possibly can, I suppose. So that was that, and I'm sorry I got the two quotes mixed up. So that first one was more about the energy flow, and then this is going to be about all the seven chakras. So in session 1512, we're going to talk about general blockages of each chakra, starting with the lowest, working our way up. The questioner asks, questioner, how does an individual go about balancing himself? What is the first step? Ra states, I am Ra. These steps are only one, that is, an understanding of the energy centers which make up the mind-body-spirit complex. This understanding may be briefly summarized as follows. The first balancing is of the Malkuth, or Earth, vibratory energy complex, called the red ray complex. An understanding and acceptance of this energy is fundamental. And I'll just stop there for a second. It's funny. I always laughed at this quote because they go on to explain the other remaining chakras, and all they really tell you about the red ray and the first chakra is just, hey, an understanding and acceptance of this energy is fundamental. Can we have a little more, please? So I can elaborate just on from what my understandings are from other parts of this material. And, I definitely may be missing something, so do take all my words with a grain of salt. But the first energy center is survival. Bra states somewhere else in the material, what is experience except for, what is life except for survival, right? So it's essentially, I like to call chakras filters of perceptions. So filters of perceptions, which to me means as any experience happens to you, any catalyst comes into your purview, your first reaction to it is, how am I going to react to this in the form of survival? Just a simple example, a bus is driving towards you in the middle of the street at full speed. Obviously, the first thing you're thinking of is, hey, my life is in danger. I should move out of the way. You're not looking over at the butterfly in the corner thinking, wow, what a beautiful butterfly and the unity of creation, and this is so wonderful. Boom, and you get hit by the bus, right? So, so this is how you understand chakras. The first is to deal with survival. And I suppose we'll have to maybe swing around back to this one because it really ties in with a lot of things. I suppose quickly though, survival to me, main things is going to be, it's just really simple, basic things, right? Do you have shelter over your head? Do you feel good about essentially where you live? Are you feeling comfortable with your living situation? Are you feeling comfortable with just simple things like food, financials, your body and your health? Just very basic survival things. Even going into the sexual realm, obviously, the red ray is the one of survival, which is of reproduction. So it's the very base, lower, the lowest base instincts that you have for for sexual striving, let's call it. So there's your first red ray, and like I said, I'm gonna sort of cycle back, and we're gonna talk about what realistically these things mean in your daily life. But I just want to go on to the next energy center, the orange one. So they say the next energy complex which may be blocked is the emotional or personal complex, also known as the orange ray complex. This blockage will often demonstrate itself as personal eccentricities or distortions with regard to self-conscious understanding or acceptance of self. End of quote for that part of the chakra. Okay, so the orange chakra, which basically you're moving from the red, from survival, now to how does this affect me, right? They call this the personal complex, or the emotional or personal complex. The emotional, that confuses me a bit. I guess it's because your emotions come from your person, and then but anyways, the main part here is to see yourself as personal. So how does this now relate to me directly? So not you and your wider family, because that's your next chakra, the yellow one. That's your communal self. We're going to talk, the second chakra is your small self, your little self, you and your mind. What are you thinking right now? Are you okay with who you are as a person? Are you accepting of the fact that you're an animal on this earth who has animal tendencies, and you're not just a perfect spiritual angel? Are basically, are your emotions somewhat balanced? Are they all chaotic and all over the place, or is there sense and meaning to your emotions that you're attempting to figure out? It's really the biggest thing about this one is it's sort of like how you see yourself. Okay, how you see just the individual person that you are. And maybe you heard one of the last two podcasts ago where I was talking about like the second density animal. Basically, that's the orange chakra. It's like your animal self, and it is still the lower version of you. Okay, so that was a little messy, but we're going to go on to the next third chakra, and I'm going to tie them all in together with just telling you about the chores thing, okay? So the third, they state here, Ross states, the third blockage resembles most closely that which you have called ego. It is the yellow ray, or solar plexus center. Blockages in this center will often manifest as distortions towards power, manipulation, and other social behaviors concerning those close and those associated with the mind-body-spirit complex. And end of quote for the third chakra. Okay, so like I was stating, the second chakra is dealing with personal. So your third chakra is obviously stepping into your wider self, into your societal self. So how do you see you feeling basically, well, how do you feel about your communal self? Are you feeling accepted in the community? And like, what does that mean? Well, either family, friends, any extracurricular activities you have, jobs, sports, anything that basically is going to be including you and an other self, that's going to be your communal self. So, right, they say ego is what that deals with. So people with a really distorted yellow ray can very much be concerned with the way they look in public, the way that people think about them, just sort of how they fit in with society, right? And like you can have various different ways of fitting in with society, but a lot of this is to deal with your sort of emotions. Like it's really going to come down to how do you feel about yourself? If you're feeling open and free and, just like each day thy will be done, I'm attempting to serve, not super anxious about everything, then you can probably consider that you have a fairly open and balanced, probably all three of the chakras below. But if you're anxious, worried about fitting in with the community, and you just sort of, if you're not feeling well in those departments, you're going to have some sort of distortion, some sort of blockage. And what do they state here in the next paragraph, which I already read you? Those with blockages in these first three energy centers or nexi will have continuing difficulties in ability to further their seeking of the law of one. Which then, I'm gonna, before I read you the heart center, the heart chakra, I now would like to just give you a brief understanding that we are in the third density. So that means that we are definitely dealing and sort of somewhat activated in the bottom three chakras. Those are going to be just sort of standard, easier lessons that we've dealt with before in our lives. But we now are at the end of this third density cycle, is my understanding, and we're coming into the fourth density, which is, the third density is the density of choice. So the choice to either serve others or serve the self, right? Like I was talking about, the third chakra, it concerns Other-Selves. So in the third density, you have the choice to serve others or serve the self exclusively, right? But I just want you to note that to serve others means to serve yourself and others as if you were the same entity. You have compassion, equal compassion for them, and respect their free will, right? And then the fourth chakra is going to be dealing, the heart chakra, with love and understanding. So I know that's kind of vague, but really love and understanding is what that chakra is about. So maybe we can elaborate, say compassion, true compassion, just like honest love, a love that doesn't see itself as separate from Other-Selves. So they state here, Ross states, the center of heart or green ray is the center from which third density beings may springboard, shall we say, towards infinite intelligence. Blockages in this area may manifest as difficulties in expressing what you may call universal love or compassion. End of quote for that chakra. So blockages in this area may manifest as difficulties in expressing universal love. Universal love is obviously higher than just your regular love. I like to see universal love and the heart chakra as, let's back up, right? The yellow The yellow chakra is sort of like, do you love everyone that you know? Do you love and accept to minimal degree everyone that you are aware of and know? Okay, that would be maybe the yellow ray love. Okay, and then we're going to move into the green ray love, which is, can you love every entity on earth, and really that even is potentially existing or not existing? Like, basically, can you love every distortion of every entity on earth that you even do not know? Which requires a lot of mirror work, because then that means that if you are to unconditionally love the creation in a universal way, that means you do have to sort of learn to love everything that you seemingly hate. Because there's nothing in this universe that is worth hating. It is all love. It is all a distortion of love, no matter how convincing the illusion of separation is. These are all distortions of love. And don't get me wrong, they can be very, very, very distorted. That is a challenge for you to be able to put that in a light that is able to see it in the form of love, which is why shadow work is so difficult. The heart and the shadow work go hand in hand, and it's all because of that. You have to learn to accept and love things that aren't even necessarily in your life. Like, you just have to learn to love everything, and obviously learning to love everything is going to be a bit of a task. So have patience for yourself, please. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself in that you're going to fail. And when you fail and you are hard on yourself, you go even further back into the chakras. So, like, how do we enter the heart and not get stomped on and have to retreat back into the safety of the lower chakras? Well, I would suggest it's infinite patience for both yourself and for other people, but honestly for yourself. A lot of people that probably listen to this type of material are quite compassionate and loving, and they see the things that they wish to do and seek and understand, and there's a lot of stumbling blocks on the path, for this is a dark and confusing place. And then they are hard on themselves, and then they double down on basically the distortion by being difficult with themselves, when really, if you can sort of talk to yourself interiorly as like, hey, I love you, guy, keep going, like, you're trying your best. Like, what more can you do, really? You have to keep going out there and attempting and reevaluating and attempting again and just doing thy will to the best of your ability. So, don't essentially scold yourself so hard for failing over and over again, because I was telling someone yesterday, maybe you've gone somewhere and you've seemingly failed. Well, you wouldn't have known that was what you wanted or didn't want if you didn't attempt it first, right? So, like, say you want something and you go out and get it, and it's like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. Well, good, because now you know what you do not want, and you know probably better what you do want. So it doesn't matter what happens to you. All is well. The creation is a holographic projection of the one, which to me means that it doesn't really matter where you go, look, seek, or whatever, you're going to find the lessons that you need to learn, because it's just the nature of the creation that you sort of can't escape your lessons. Everything is a mirror for your interior world, so it's literally impossible for you to go out and not reflect the things that you need to see to undistort your being, to undistort your chakras, to work your way into the heart, which is my understanding right now. After we've made the choice to serve others, to serve the self, we're working with the heart. So the rest of our experience is most likely going to be lessons of love in these areas. However, because you are a third density being, even though you're only in the third density, possibly going into the fourth, once you are in third density, you have the potential to activate all the chakras. So you don't necessarily have to go to the fourth density to activate the fourth chakra, or the fifth density to activate the fifth chakra. You really could sort of activate them at any time during your incarnation, but obviously it's just going to be easier maybe just to go from the 3 to the 4th. But like they state, once you're in the 4th, it's pretty easy to just springboard up to the higher ones. Why? Because, well, I'm going to read you the next ones and maybe you'll understand why. So from the heart, we're going to move into the blue ray energy center, the throat chakra. They state here, the blue ray center of energy streaming is the center which, for the first time, is outgoing as well as inpouring. Those blocked in this area may have difficulty in grasping the spirit-mind complexes of its own entity, and further difficulty in expressing such understandings of self. Entities blocked in this area may have difficulties in accepting communication from other mind-body-spirit complexes. End of quote for the blue ray. So the blue ray, the first energy center, which is for the first time outgoing, right? So all the previous chakras, 1, 2, 3, 4, are all the energy coming into them. And once you've reached the heart and reached into the throat chakra, now you get to express your being. You get to express what is in your lower chakras and in your heart. And all of those things, hopefully being as undistorted as possible, come up into the throat, and you get to manifest them into the world. You create what is it? Abracadabra. I create what I speak. Okay, there's all these sorts of hints as to this is the manifesting chakra. Okay, this is where we move from a sort of internal lessons of love, which we can also say that we move into generally an outward service, right? We're now giving from the heart. We are now dealing with other selves and trying to learn and accept other selves and their mind, body, spirit complexes. And at the same time, we're trying to serve them. And so through that, Blu-ray is hard to explain. It's funny. It's a lot of it, even though it's an outgoing chakra, there is so much about Blu-ray is about listening and about allowing another self to open up to you. Are you capable of, I guess, comforting someone and putting them in a gentle mental situation which allows them to open up vulnerably to you? Well, you may be a green ray entity, for you understand your spirit complex, which allows you to understand other spirit complexes, which allows you to not just have random ego distortions expressing onto other people. You more sit, wait, listen for an opportunity and an opportunity to serve instead of trying to correct other people and things like that. Okay, now we're going to move from the blue ray throat chakra into the indigo ray chakra, the third eye, one in the forehead. So they state here, the next center is the pineal or indigo ray center. Those blocked in this center may experience a lessening of the influx of intelligent energy due to manifestations which appear as unworthiness. This is that of which you spoke. As you can see, this is but one of the many distortions due to the several points of energy influx into the mind-body-spirit complex. The indigo ray balancing is quite central to the type of work which revolves around the spirit complex, which has its influx then into the transformation or transmutation of third density to fourth density, it being the energy center receiving the least distorted outpourings of love light from the intelligent energy and having also the potential for the key to the gateway to intelligent infinity. So the indigo ray is obviously a big one. It kind of deals with everything spiritual, if you will, in that, when you are meditating and seeking silence and seeking harmony, you're seeking a connection with the indigo ray. They also state here, those blocked in this center may experience a lessening of the influx of intelligent energy due to manifestations of unworthiness. Basically, you feel like crap because you don't think of yourself as worthy. So I know somewhere else in these quotes, they state to unblock the indigo ray, one must see itself as a being of infinite worth. You, my friend, are a portion of a one infinite creator. You are a piece of infinity. Every part of the creation is of infinite worth. That includes you. You have to see yourself as worthy, as essentially a worthy part of the creation, that your energy here matters, right? You're not just a useless random thing in the universe. You matter. Everything you do, say, think matters, and same with everybody else. But you need to see that in yourself in order and feel that way in order to be unblocked in this energy center. So there's too much to talk about with this energy center. Remember, I said I want to keep the top energy centers just brief so I don't go into too much. I want to talk about grounding more. This one, they state, which I think is important, they state it being the energy center receiving the least distorted outpourings of love light from intelligent energy. So my understanding is once you have opened up from the bottom, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, The violet one is just sort of the overall read of your entire energy center. But once you've reached into the indigo, you have, I guess, opened up like the top funnel of the energy. Like the bottom funnel came in, it opened up the flow, and now you have a downward pouring light love of the one infinite creator in a more infinite way. It's sort of like the creative, the infinite creative energy of the creator you've now opened yourself up to. Like when you're in indigo, you're within infinity. And what do? You reach out into infinity of the potential, of the infinite potential of the universe, and you basically grab something and you bring it down and you manifest it in this creation. So that's what you're doing when you're reaching indigo. You have a sense of infinite worth, which basically you are infinitely worthy. And we can even go into how, this is how you transmutate from this third density to the fourth density, but it's really not that important. So then, as I just stated about the violet ray, they state the remaining center of energy influx is simply the total expression of the entity's vibratory complex of mind, body, and spirit. It is as it will be, balanced or imbalanced, has no meaning at this energy level, for it gives and takes in its own balance. Whatever distortion may be, it cannot be manipulated as can the others, and therefore has no particular importance in viewing the balancing of an entity. So basically, your violet chakra is just sort of irrelevant. It's like it's just the readout of all your previous chakras. Okay, so I read you all the chakras. Now I just wanted to give you this random little list I have of like, what the heck does this all mean? Well, if I was to briefly summarize this to somebody who didn't know anything about chakras, I would just give them very basic information. Hey, if you would like to stay grounded, you basically have to deal with the basic chores and daily living of your life. You can't go out necessarily and serve other people and do wider creative things if you are unbalanced and essentially just distracted by all the small daily things of life. And don't get me wrong, I'm human. I know how to procrastinate like no other. I know how to, I know how to take a small task of a day and stretch it out for the long part of the day and then finally do it at like closer to the end of the day. And then you just sort of feel like crap. Like I didn't have any time to do anything because I was too busy doing my very basics of just barely taking care of myself, right? So what would you start with as some realistic suggestions to be balanced? Well, I wrote down a little list here of a bunch of things that I could think of, in like 5 minutes. So clean your room, eat good food, or at least eat. I know I'd suck at eating breakfast, and if I can get myself on that, I'm definitely doing well in the grounded area. Do your laundry, have your daily showers, get your hair cut your nails, do the dishes. Go get a daily job. Do you not have a job? Get a job. You need some dailiness in your life. You need consistency, which will help you with your red ray and feeling financially stable. Do you have sort of your basic financials figured out? Exercising in whatever form you feel, getting out and moving. These are basic body things. Are you getting sleep? Are you have a decent sleep cycle? You need to sort of get up at the same time every day. If you're not, you're sleeping in, you're all over the place. Like tell you how to get depressed, my friends, is try to not do any of these things on this list for a good period of time and wonder why your life feels like it's falling apart and you feel like crap. Continuing on, stretching, doing some stretching, drinking water. How about you brush your teeth, brush your hair, sweep the floors, clean up the bathroom, water the plants, dust the house. Just honestly, just the very basic is stuff. You think after you've done all of these very basic things, which just seem like one small thing here and there, but they add up, right? Like that list that I just read you could take quite some time to take care of. And what does that mean? Well, it means you need to do it on a daily basis. The more daily you do it, the more that the one thing from yesterday doesn't run into today, which now distracts you and makes you have less time to do other things, right? So you need to be on a daily daily focus of getting your basics in order. Get up in the morning at a decent time, brush your teeth, go eat breakfast, drink a thing of water, stretch, meditate, do what you need to do so that you can then go out and do the wider things of the day. So basically what I said is, hey, get up in the morning, deal with your red and your orange chakras, so that then when you go out into society and are exercising your yellow chakra, you're not going to be focused with the previous filters of perception, which are clouding your vision because you're thinking of all these chores and other things you have to do. Now you're going out into society with an open, free feeling that, I've done all the crap that I need to do in my daily life. Now I'm going to go out into the wider community and attempt to serve, or, do whatever it is that you do in your wider community. And then from there, right now, once you've even, I guess this is where maybe some people fail a bit too, where they don't have a wider community thing. It's kind of easy with cell phones and these things to be absorbed in the self and not be interacting with some form of wider community. So then, are you even going into some sort of wider communal thing? A job, a sport, an extracurricular activity, anything where you're getting together with friends, family. So that, right? And obviously the next step from there is going to be, now how do you love these people? Do you see how the chakras are flowing now? How these isn't just woo-woo spiritual information. It is actually realistic, like filter of perception. Hey, I'm going to deal with survival. Then I'm going to deal with myself. Then I'm going to deal with my communal self. Then I'm going to deal with love and how I love these people. And then I'm going to deal with truth and how I manifest this truth and speak this truth and speak my being and manifest my being. And then I'm going to step into the indigo, where I'm going to just sort of know that all is well and that the Creator has this taken care of and things of this matter. Okay, so there's your sort of basic walkthrough of the chakras. Now we're going to get into maybe a bit of a funner part. Remember how I said the woman in the red dress? I don't know. I was in the shower this morning thinking about my podcast, and I was like, hey, you know what? So much to do with the lower chakras have to do with somewhat negative entities distracting you, but it's sort of like a negative entity, or that's something outside yourself, and that can get icky. So just know that whether it's a negative entity outside yourself attempting to manipulate you or whatever, they can still only work with free will distortions that you've created within yourself. So no matter what outside influence is happening, it's still your responsibility, okay? Your free will is what is being sort of used or played upon, so you're the one that has the ultimate choice in any of these things. So when I'm talking about the woman in the red dress, I mean, well, as we seek to serve and open the heart, we make a specific intention to enter the heart of these types of spiritual matters. You've created like a call. You've put out a call, a charge in the universe that is going to lead you to your destination. But with any call must be given the counter call, its polar opposite. So anything that you wish to do, if you would like to make that choice, a true choice requires you to be given both what you want and sort of what you don't want. So when you make that internal decision to serve, then come the distractions. Okay? And I think 2-3 podcasts ago, I made one about temptations, which was a really popular episode based on the view count. So that one is all about temptations and distractions, as I'm calling it in this episode. But if I am to give you just a very basic thing that you can keep in your mind as to, am I being distracted? Am I being tempted? Well, they state in session 68.16, when they're sort of talking about how to, like, why do negative, or what's the goal of a negative entity in trying to coerce and manipulate a positive entity, like to put out their light or to take control of it. They basically just state here, a negative entity, quote, any distortion away from service to others is also appropriate. So pretty much your distractions and your temptations, they will often, if you set the intention to serve, then you basically have to be given the polar opposite choice of, I guess, non-service, right? So that's what they state here. Any distortion away from service to others is appropriate in the eyes of a negative entity who's looking to distract you and keep you off of the path. So a lot of these temptations and distractions are going to come in the form of your lower chakras, red, orange, and yellow. So what did I state about the red one, right? You have the sexual thing there. A lot of distractions maybe come in the form of the sexual nature, lust, things of this nature. You can also have like the orange blockage distractions, which I suppose would be seeing yourself in a negative light, being very hard on yourself, not seeing that you, even though this is somewhat related to the indigo chakra, is related to the orange chakra as well, you somewhat have to see yourself as a being of infinite worth. If you're not, there's distractions there. Distractions could even be temptations to see the self as better than others, to see yourself as more smart and intellectual and stronger than others. Really anything that I suppose increases the illusion of separation between you and an other self is going to be those types of distractions that are coming your way, and they're only coming your way because you want to attempt to serve. So really you can sort of be grateful that the distractions and the temptations are coming your way. It probably means you're doing something good. But are you able to choose what it is that you still want to choose, even in the face of a very tempting counteroffer? That's really what this is about, is polarization. The more you make the choice over and over and over in service to others, the more powerful you become. Maybe the more powerful the distraction that may come your way, but at the same time, it also just becomes easier and easier with each attempt at serving, because, at first the distractions and the temptations seem very tempting, and eventually you just start to see them for what they are, and you can kind of laugh at the temptation because you're like, oh, I know why this is happening. It's because, like, yesterday I said, I made a really good internal message to myself that I wanted to, like, really seek in a loving, compassionate, unifying way. So of course today I would be offered the ability to be cut off in traffic and yell at this person and get angry and feel victimized by them, right? Okay, so that leads us into what I would like to wrap up this podcast with, which is how to deal with other selves distortions. So we are able to, right, as I was saying, be kind to yourself, because if you can't be kind to yourself, you likely cannot be kind to others. Like when I am forgiving of other people, it's usually in the light that I know that I'm a human as well. I've made that same mistake before. I may make that mistake again. I'm not above making mistakes, and I know other people are not as well. So I can easier forgive them and understand where they're coming from if I'm just not so harsh with myself, which then, allows me to be kind to myself, which allows me to be kind to others. But I'm going to read you this quote where Ra tells you about, dealing with other selves. So the questioner asks in 38.5, questioner asks, could you tell me how each of the rays, red through violet, would appear in a perfectly balanced, undistorted entity? I am Ra. We cannot tell you this, for each balance is perfect and each unique. We do not mean to be obscure. Let us offer an example. In a particular entity, let us use this instrument, which they're referring to Carla, the channeler, the instrument. Continuing on, the rays may be viewed as extremely even, red, orange, yellow. The green ray is extremely bright. This is, shall we say, balanced by a dimmer indigo. Between these two, the point of balance resides. The blue ray of the communicator sparkling in strength above the ordinary. In the violet ray, we see this unique spectrograph, if you will, and at the same time the pure violet surrounding the whole, this in turn surrounded by that which mixes the red and violet ray, indicating the integration of mind, body, and spirit. This surrounded in turn by the vibratory pattern of this entity's true density. Wow, that was a lot. We're going to continue on this. We're getting to the important part right here. This description may be seen to be both unbalanced and in perfect balance. The latter understanding is extremely helpful in dealing with other selves. The ability to feel blockages is useful only to the healer. There is not properly a tiny fraction of judgment when viewing a balance in colors. Of course, when we see many of the energy plexi weakened and blocked, we may understand that an entity has not yet grasped the baton and begun the race. However, the potentials are always there. All the rays fully balanced are there in waiting to be activated. Perhaps another way to address your query is this. In the fully potentiated entity, the rays mount one upon the other with equal vibratory brilliance and scintillating sheen until surrounding color is white. This is what you may call potentiated balance in third density. So, end of quote. I'm going to back up a little bit there to that middle paragraph. That was the really important part I wanted you to read. It says, the description may be seen to be both unbalanced and in perfect balance. So when you are a human being in third density entity, you have all 7 chakras in potentiation. Essentially, you are already a perfect being. It's just a matter of time, literally, before all of your potential chakras are fully activated. In the sense of kind of timelessness, the creator we have already found the source. We have already made our way back. The higher self, I guess it's stated that all time is happening simultaneously. So your higher self is you from the future. Oh, wow. And it's an amalgamation of everything, that every incarnation that you were up until that point. And so what that means is that you already are your higher self. Your higher self already exists. It's already created. The perfect you, the perfect angel you that is very, very, very close to the creator and very undistorted from the creator, basically you already exist. And so what's the point of knowing that? Well, when you look at other selves, you may see the distortion in them. Now, that's really none of your business unless you're a healer, is what it's stating here. The ability to feel blockages is useful only to the healer. There is not properly a tiny fraction of judgment when viewing a balance in colors. In other words, if you're not attempting to heal another self and you see them in their distorted patterns and their distorted ways, there shouldn't be a judgment from you that they are lesser than you. They are an infinitely worthy portion of the Creator, and everyone has their own time that they will wake up within. And whether you do it sooner or later than them, that doesn't make you any better than them. Just because you found an answer a little faster than someone else means really nothing, okay? So like they state, if you see someone undistorted, you may understand they have not grasped the baton. They have not necessarily started to understand the reason and metaphysical reason for creation and the metaphysical reality that does exist. But that's okay, because they will in time. You don't need to control them. You don't need to force them into awakening. All is well. Everyone will operate at their own pace. And if they seek your understandings, they will come to you. They will ask you questions. Maybe you drop a seed here and there, but you don't need to force anything. People will come to you and when they need something. But the bigger portion of this is, like they state, the latter understanding is extremely helpful in dealing with other selves. The latter understanding is seeing their full potential realized. And whether it's realized or not, every being has that potential. So for you to overlook that potential is unwise. You need to essentially see them as an infinitely worthy being of the Creator, who is the Creator, and they just need more time than you. Okay? So all is well. All is well. There's no need to force your way upon anyone. You be the change you want to see in the world. Others will honestly learn more from you, from the way you are, more than what you say to them. They're going to remember, what do they say, how you made them feel. They're not going to remember what you told them. They're just going to remember how you made them feel. And so is your life an example of a good song, a good music, a good harmony that others like to listen to, that others want to be a part of? Well, good. You're doing good, I would say. so so sing your song, shine your light bright, my friends. That is going to be all for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked the podcast, give it a like. It helps other people see the podcast in the old algorithms. Leave me a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. If you find value in this information, I would like to do this on a more permanent basis. So I am trying to carve out a little Patreon group. If you guys would like to, see these podcasts on a continuing weekly basis with a lot of love and intention and thought put into them, please assist me. You can join my Patreon, shoot me a one-time PayPal. Everything really helps me a lot in these inflationary times. And I know, like I just said, I know how it is out there right now with inflation and everything. So if you don't have the abundance to share, please do not feel bad. I love you regardless. You can do things that don't cost any money. Just shoot me a like on this thing and on Instagram, and leave comments, things like that. That helps the page grow. That helps other people see the material. That is what I want to do, not for growth of numbers, but just for the attempt to serve, to get the material out to those who seek it and wish to have it. So theoneinfinitecreator.com is my website, and yeah, you can also find links to all the LL research material, who provides us this for free. So thank you everybody for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.